Broke Girl Therapy.
Hey guys, it's Cammie, and this is Nikki from Double Teen Podcast.
And I'm Stefanie motherfucking Maegan from Broke Girl Therapy. Come join us for the first live show ever. Broke Girl Therapy and Double Teen Podcast are collaborating for a live show event in Los Angeles on October 20th at 7 p.m.
We are so excited. Everyone, you don't want to miss this show. I know you're dying to meet us, and you're gonna get to do just that. But we're also going to have drinks. We're gonna have games. You might see HK and Nikki have an anal battle. You never know what's gonna happen, but it's gonna be lit. So I promise you want to be there.
LA, come through and party with me, Cammie, and Nikki and celebrate our first live show ever. To find tickets for the event, feel free to check out the description down below or go check out our websites, brokegirltherapy.com or doubleteenpodcast.com. We hope to see you guys there, and we want to meet every single one of you guys and take a photo and laugh and be friends and just make memories.
And it's our first one, so you guys have to come. Please.
Oh, I'm so excited.
I want to be so nervous.
Testing, and then just have you talk in the mic and just
Okay.
in your regular volume,
All right.
and then I'm gonna try to adjust accordingly.
Okay, sounds good. Talking in my regular volume. It's funny, whenever I do podcasts, I like go hello. You know,
Ooh, yeah, you kind of
and
have
then
to when you do it, right?
Yeah. What I used to work at a call center, and I was told I had like someone asked me, two people asked me out over the phone, and one was a middle-aged woman. Like,
Wait, I love
so
that.
I've been told I have a nice
You do have a nice
Yeah,
tone, like for
yeah.
sure. Like I feel like you'd be like a really nice, good person, like, and like I don't know, and hot. You sound hot. You sound hot.
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
such a
I was like, is that too aggressive to say? I'm like, you
No,
sound really hot.
I'm here for it. My body is ready. As
Yes.
Danny would say, God. Has he ever said that to you?
Yes, or he goes.
Oh, yeah, with his animal.
Yeah.
Oh, I love him.
It like I had to like relax because I was like, why am I getting turned on? This needs to like like something like that. Just I don't know what it is.
I love it.
But he's my favorite. He's really great. But yeah, I think it sounds good. I feel like we always tend to get louder as the conversations go.
oh my God, I absolutely. And you're an Aquarius, right? And I'm
Yes.
a Sagittarius. So we're loud bitches.
Yes, we're fucking
Yeah,
loud.
Yeah.
And it's
Don't threaten us with a good time.
right. And it's crazy because I always feel like I have to like tone it down sometimes because I know how intense and loud I can be. But you know, we're working
that.
through it. We're working
Yeah.
through it. Okay, so it's
Nadège.
Nadège.
Yeah.
Okay. See, I knew it, but then
You said it right the first. You got
my
it.
anxiety
Yeah.
kicked in.
Yeah, I love it.
It was like self-doubt. It was like, you're going to fuck it up. Okay, well, let's get into it.
Okay.
Hi, guys. It's me, Stefanie Maegan, your host of Broke Girl Therapy. And we have the lovely, the professional, the hot sex therapist, sex scientist, Nadège.
Hi, everybody.
Yes, I'm so thrilled you're here because, like I was telling you, we always have, a lot of the show is like me and my friends just talking about what we like and giving advice or whatever, or crying on the pod. But like we don't have as many professionals on. Like I have before.
Yeah.
But I always get so excited to have someone who's educated
Yeah.
on the pod.
Hey, I try.
Yes.
I am a scientist. I'm a sex scholar. So,
wait, how did you get into this? What is a sex scientist? Like, I need to know more.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I went to Berkeley and I was going to be an English major. I love reading.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got there, I had already gone to community college. And so I was
Smart.
like, saved a lot of money that way.
Yeah.
And I was basically asked to read all the same authors that I had read before. And I was just like, this is boring. And we had one of the best feminist studies departments in the world. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna try that.
Right.
And so I loved it. And then I was able to, because I transferred as a junior, I immediately had to like write a thesis paper and research something for a couple of years. So I was like, what wouldn't bore me? And that was sex.
Of course.
And so I started studying sex. I was able to go to like porn production companies, watch them make porn. I focused on feminist porn, BDSM porn, queer porn. And so I studied sex. And
That's so much fun. Okay,
Yeah.
continue.
No, well, that's how it began, of me studying sex. And then I graduated and I started writing articles online. And over the years, that just really started to take off. And that was where my brand Pleasure Science was born, where I just help people feel healthy and empowered in their sexuality. And I'm also like a queer femme, so that plays into the way I view gender and sex and sexuality.
Right.
And it's just been really great. I feel like we live in a culture that, I mean, we were talking earlier, you get such mixed messages about sex, like be empowered, but don't be promiscuous, but also be promiscuous. But you know, like,
but like, don't be empowered. It's confusing.
It's very confusing.
Yeah.
And I just love having a really like optimistic, health-based approach. And that's always how I try to talk about sex with people. And that's how I got here.
I love that. So do you just kind of like, do you do a little bit of sex therapy and you just kind of help people and just educate? Like,
Well, so I'm not a therapist, because you
okay.
do need to go. That's a whole separate, like getting licensed and all of that. And we should be seeing sex therapists actually, because doctors, gynecologists, and urologists don't have sex education training as a part of their curriculum. So like there are things that I know as a sex educator and a scholar that my gynecologist doesn't know, which isn't to like say anything bad about your gynecologist or your doctor, because they go through so much studying and schooling, like 10 years of it, to be able to help people. But the problem is the curriculums that they're given. It's not required. So unless a gynecologist chooses after they become like a gynecologist to study sex, that's not going to be a part of like their repertoire, which is crazy, because it's like vagina.
Exactly.
You're just,
like you should know.
You absolutely.
That's crazy. Here's the thing, like America, sex education sucks.
Oh, it's bad.
Like I just realized what my clit was like over a year ago.
I love it.
Like I thought this other thing, part of my vagina, was my clit.
Oh, yeah.
And
I mean, that's normal. Only 18 states require sex education to be medically accurate right now. So, and we're adults, right? So that's right now. If you were a kid, like when we were kids, it was even younger. When our parents were kids, I mean, forget about it. Like they're lucky they even know where a penis is. I mean, I'm kidding. But
honestly.
But it's just to say it's so bad.
It's so bad.
And so that's, I mean, yeah, from your doctor to yourself, like we're just really uneducated.
So uneducated. And it's like, I feel like it's crazy that I even ended up having a podcast about sex, because it's just like I thought I knew until I really like stepped into this space, and I'm just like so fascinated, and there's always so much to learn.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
One of the biggest things I think right now that I've just been kind of exploring and just been so curious about are just like the different kinks and like fetishes, and like I think it'd be so cool to really just talk about like the science part of it.
Yeah.
Like
absolutely.
How, like I don't even know where to begin.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons why like everybody is so uneducated is because we're not even studying sex. So like the study of pleasure, like there's this neuroscientist who just came out with a book, I think it was last year, called Why Good Sex Matters. And it's all about the neuroscience of pleasure and sex. And it's like she's a pioneer in this industry. Like we're just not studying it. We haven't been studying it. That's one of the reasons why people don't know about like the clitoris. Like the average clitoris is 4 inches long and it gets an erection just like a penis. Most people don't know about that. Your G-spot is the root of your clitoris. So just newsflash, if you've been trying to have a G-spot orgasm and you think something is wrong with you, it's all the clitoris.
How do you get a G-spot orgasm?
Well, some people like it depends on where your like your clitoris is in the actual vaginal structure. Okay. So like I said, like your G-spot is the root of your clitoris, right?
So it's deep into, it's not like visible.
If you just go, it's not visible for sure.
Okay. I don't know.
It's on the inside. So it's on the inside, like in the vaginal cavern, right? Okay. So if you stick a finger in and then make a come hither motion, you'll feel like that kind of spongy surface area, and that can be really sensitive. So that's where the root of the clitoris is. And then the head of the clitoris is the little kind of button that is, that a lot of us know. Yep, a lot of us know and love. So in terms of like getting a G-spot orgasm, a lot of that like depends on just like how your clitoris even is in your body, like how long it is. Some people have maybe a smaller clitoris. Again, so the average clitoris is 4 inches long. So maybe your clitoris is like 3 to 4 inches long. And so the root of your clitoris is a little bit further back. And so penetration isn't really going to hit that nerve ending as well. And so you're not going to have as strong of a G-spot orgasm as you would if someone was eating you out or you were using a vibrator or you were just like playing with your clitoris with your fingers.
Oh,
right?
wow.
And then for other people, their G-spot or the root of their clitoris is closer to like the walls of their vagina, but then the head is a little bit further down underneath the hood. And so it can be like, there's some people who like have a vagina and you eat them out and they're like, this just doesn't like do it for me. But then penetration rocks.
That's me.
And that's okay.
Like,
so there you go. So
I
you're
related.
probably, so the root of your clitoris is probably closer to your vaginal
Oh, so I would have had a
hole.
small penis, huh?
Maybe, but like, does size really matter?
Size doesn't matter. I know. But
Well, I mean, we can think that it does. For me, it's so funny. Like, I don't think that size matters. Like, if it's too big, it hurts me. So for me, it's like nicer if it's average to small size. Like, I dated a guy once, and I got anxiety when I saw his penis because I was like, oh my god, if he's a grower and not a shower, and he's already like showing, like I'm fucked. Luckily, he wasn't a grower. Like, that was it.
But
that
you
was
saw
still a lot.
Right.
Like, I was like, we're gonna focus on some other things.
That's true. I need like a medium to large. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I definitely know, like, I've been with guys who were just way too big. Yeah. That it was kind of like, I was scared.
Yeah,
and it would take a while for me to like feel comfortable in sex because of like how big it was.
Yeah.
So being eaten out, it feels good, but like I don't ever come from it.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine.
Like, so, but then I do from penetration.
Yeah.
Okay, so nothing's wrong with me?
No, not at all. It's just about like, because your clitoris, like, okay, if we think about how like boobs are all different shapes and sizes, right?
Yeah.
And then vaginas are all different looks. Like some of the lips are big. Sometimes it's like a peekaboo pussy. You can't really see it,
Yeah,
whatever.
my lips are big.
Oh, I love it.
They're really thick.
I love it.
I have a thick vagina.
Love it. And what was I saying? Now I'm just
got distracted in my
now I'm just
vagina.
imagining like thick vaginas, which I love. Like I'm here for it.
Yes.
Fuck. What were we talking about?
Oh God, ADHD.
Eating out,
and then.
So everybody's vulva or vagina like looks different, right? And then you have the clitoris, which is mostly an internal structure. So when I said that the average clitoris is 4 inches long, the tip of the clitoris, imagine like the tip of the penis, right? Those are small areas. That's the only part that's external, and then the shaft of your clitoris is all internal. Okay, it wraps around the whole of your vagina, and that's why when you're like aroused, your vagina or like vulva, because technically that's the correct term for it, but I think you could call your privates whatever you want. But that's why your lips swell. That's when you're getting an erection. That's the like shaft of your clitoris.
It swells up, so it is true. Okay.
Yeah. Because your clitoris is like a penis in a different form.
Right.
And so, so that's the shaft, and then now I forgot again. Fuck.
So
we both have ADD.
I know. Do you have ADD?
But,
Okay,
I mean,
fine.
I haven't been diagnosed, but listen to this conversation.
Right.
It is what it is. It's like I feel like it's being a millennial.
Exactly.
Like,
I think most millennials have ADHD.
oh yeah, you're curious and you have ADHD. It's a great combination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So wait, I did have a question.
Yeah.
So because it is more difficult for me to orgasm through like being eaten out, what are some tips that I should like give to my partner?
Well, I think one, if you have trouble having an orgasm from being eaten out, it's probably because, again, like maybe the nerve endings, like there's a little bit more flesh between the nerve endings of your clitoris and like the rest of your clitoris. Like it sounds like your clitoris is a little bit further down, so it's going to be closer to the vaginal hole, which is why penetration through the back or through the vagina, if that makes sense. I feel like I wish I had like a picture. Okay. But what would help is having a vibrator and then like a vibrator and like tongue action at the same time. Yeah. Because basically like if you're not getting that stimulated from being eaten out, it just means that like the sensation isn't getting all the way to the root of the clitoris. A reason why vibrators are so great is because it can stimulate the entire muscle. That is the clitoris.
I see. Yeah, because like I have orgasm through, being eaten out, but it is always when there is a vibrator. Yeah. But without a vibrator, like not even just with my partner, like it's been this journey through my whole sex life where it was like, eating out like feels good, but like I always hear other women being like, oh my God, it was just amazing. I need to be eating now because like they just come so hard. But I'm like,
Yeah.
I've never experienced that.
Yeah, so their nerve endings and like their clitoris is probably closer, like their vaginal hood may not be that big, or their, it's literally like the positioning of where your clitoris is in your body sometimes.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's like how some yoga exercises will work for one person and they'll hurt another person. It's literally just like
What works for you?
what works for you.
Oh,
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah.
So I always get questions of like, Steph, like, how do I orgasm? Like, I can't orgasm. Is something
Yeah.
wrong with me? And that used to be something that I battled with. Like, I wasn't able to come. It was
Yeah.
very rare. And now I come all the time with my like boyfriend. But like, what advice do you have like for those who can't come?
I mean, I think that one, I'd say see a pelvic floor therapist because it may be due to trauma, and like maybe just seeing a pelvic floor therapist who's literally like a physical therapist for your coochie, or your penis or whatever, and
Whoa.
everything in between.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've never
So
heard.
if you have, oh yeah, they're great. They're amazing. We should
Yeah.
actually be seeing them like regularly, annually.
Right.
So basically a pelvic floor therapist can give you exercises to either strengthen the muscles, or if there's like trauma, like if you get into a car accident and then you go to a physical therapist who's going to work out the trauma in your muscles, like they can give you exercises to do that literally like with your vagina. So especially if you've experienced sexual assault, because I'm someone who experienced sexual assault, and like you, I had a lot of trouble orgasming with
Right.
other people. By myself, it was fine.
Yeah.
So for me, it was two things. One, there was trauma to the vagina. So I worked with a pelvic floor therapist to help like just make me feel like make my body not feel like scared when I was being touched down there, and like re-heal that relationship with touch. So that can be a part of it.
Right.
And then for me, what also helped was one, just like accepting that that was my reality. Not trying to like, it's not a problem that you can fix right away. A lot of it is psychological. Your brain is your biggest sex organ.
That was me. It was
Yeah.
really
It was-
ADHD. I think really played a part in that because I'm
Oh,
over here like thinking
yeah.
about like my plans while I'm like getting penetrated. So that doesn't help.
Absolutely. And so if that's part of the problem, then I think developing focus-based practices when you're not having sex to help your mind relax. Because if you're someone who's really active, whether your mind is really active or you like are just the type of person who can't sit down, then working out ways to normalize, like, oh, I'm sitting, I'm in rest mode, and my brain isn't going to go off the handle. That'll help in the bedroom as well, because if you think about it, if you have an overactive mind and then you go to lay down for sex, like it's like at the end of the day going to lay down for sleep and you can't sleep. Like the brain doesn't know how to turn off.
Mind
So why
fucked,
would the
yeah.
brain like suddenly like just heal itself during sex if it's not
Right.
healed in all the other areas?
That's so
So
true.
yeah, but there's so many like, and when you had asked me before, like if I'm a therapist, I'm not a therapist, but I do sex coaching with people because I do have this database of information. And I think that people, one, we don't know the science. And then two, like there are so many ways that we can start to heal this area. And that, again, that's why it's important to seek just a sex counselor, sex educator, sex therapist, whatever calls to you and feels like the right move. Like that's what you need to start doing because
Wow,
it's so
yeah.
unique.
It's
too.
so unique to like each person. It's like
It
hard to like give
is.
advice. It's like I know what works for me now,
Yeah,
but like yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody is different.
they are.
You mentioned how like you couldn't orgasm with partners, but
Yeah.
you're fine by yourself. That's actually something that like it was a struggle for me as well. Like not only could I orgasm with partners, I just couldn't orgasm myself. And I've talked about it before and I've joked about it before where I was like I'd watch porn and be like masturbating and then I'd be
Yeah.
like thinking about production budgets and all this
Yeah.
stuff, and like it was hard to get into like the fantasy of everything, which I feel like I definitely want to touch on too. So like what
Yeah.
like you mentioned before we came on the pod that you could talk like about a lot about fantasy and there's like a
Yeah.
whole like science to it.
Oh,
like
yeah.
what advice do you have for someone like me when I'm masturbating to kind of
Yeah.
to get into that fantasy and to not feel
Absolutely.
shame of it?
For sure. Well, I'd say the first step is even before you are going to start fantasizing, do some like practices to get you to stop thinking about everything else. So the first thing I would do, like let's just say you're laying in bed or on the couch or wherever you're going to be, look around at the four corners of the room that you're in. That is something that animals do, and it helps them soothe their nervous system.
Oh,
And that'll help. I
interesting.
mean, humans are animals.
Yeah.
So that'll help you. And a reason why animals do that is because they're checking their surroundings to make sure they're safe. But it's also a grounding technique that can help you get present in the moment. So
Ooh.
if you're in the, like, obviously you're in the bedroom, you're already kind of looking up at the ceiling. So look at the four corners of your room, especially if you notice, like, I'm thinking about the grocery list. I'm thinking about the credit card I left at Target. I'm like, why did I do that?
Right.
Like, now I'm
Yeah.
mad at myself.
Exactly.
And that whole thing. So stop that right there by looking around the room, the four corners of the room, to kind of get present. And then a breathing technique that I do that I learned from an MD that I love is you take a couple inhales for 4 counts and exhales for 6 counts. The reason being is when you exhale for longer than you inhale, you soothe your nervous system again. And so the reason why before you even get into the fantasy, it's so important to start soothing your nervous system is because neuroscientists have found that if you're not in a rest and digest mode, you can't enjoy pleasure. You can't even receive it because you're going to be in survival mode. You're in fight or flight
Right,
mode. And the thing
right.
with sex is that we are taught that if you have too much sex, you're promiscuous. If you don't have enough, you're not an adult. You know, we have so many, and then being naked is nerve-wracking.
Oh, being naked is nerve-wracking.
Is nerve-wracking as hell.
Yeah.
So it's like there's so many ways that even the very act of sex or masturbation will heighten your nervous system and put you into fight or flight mode. And so just taking a step back and doing those really quick, easy little ways to ground and soothe yourself are going to make a big difference. And then once
Okay.
you feel like a little bit soothed, and those are also meditative practices, so they will calm your mind, right? And so then once you've done that and laid that foundation for yourself, then start getting into the fantasy. And what we were talking about earlier with fantasies, like I'm a big proponent of people like fantasizing without shame. I think that's really healing because we have so many taboo fantasies. I
So-
mean, like
yeah.
by the time you're 5 years old, you have seen images of war, violence, intimacy. You've seen it all, right? And so we get very confusing messages that are very charming and sexual. And we start to develop this foundation for sexual fantasy when we're kids, right?
Right.
And then as adults, we're like, okay, why does rape turn me on? Why did I watch that movie 365 Days like 8 times? She got
Right.
kidnapped. It's so problematic, but it's hot. I don't know if you've seen that movie, but
No,
it's
I
so
haven't,
hot.
yeah.
Oh my God, it's so hot. So problematic, so hot.
Right.
But I feel like that's how sexual fantasies start to unfold. And then we begin to repress ourselves and censor ourselves. And that's just not a good thing to do because you can't undo desire. And so psychologists who study sexual fantasy have found that it's cathartic and healthy to fantasize without shame and to start doing that and fantasize without censoring yourself.
Yeah.
You learn more about yourself, your childhood, your surroundings, your culture. So you become way more self-aware. That's what we have found through science when you fantasize about yourself or just fantasize without shame. And then you experience sex a little bit better because you're just allowing yourself to go.
To just like let your
Yeah.
mind run free. So do you think
Yeah.
that like the stuff that we go through, like trauma and the things that we have experienced really affects like our fantasies?
Absolutely. I mean,
Yeah,
how can it
like-
not? All of your experiences.
Yeah. Like
do.
how about like the R word? Like
The
because
rape
that one's-
fantasies.
The rape fantasy,
It's
which
so taboo.
it's so
Yeah.
taboo, but it's actually very common.
Oh, it's extremely common.
Yeah.
The latest research on rape fantasies is that 50% of men have them, about 60% of women, and then with gender nonconforming people and queer people, we don't have those specific numbers. But again, what we do know across all gender is that if you start to fantasize without censoring yourself and start to release some of that shame, you will feel healthier. And so, you know, if you have rape fantasies, one, there's also some really interesting reasons why we have rape
yeah,
fantasies.
I was gonna say like why out of all the other ones is this one like one of the most common?
Yeah. Well, this is okay. So sit down if you're not sitting down,
Yeah.
because some of the most common rape
Yeah.
like it's not just rape, but incest is also super. So
I've heard that one's super.
Really, since the 1960s, that has been one of the most made pornographies and most made pornography genres. So we're obviously really into some taboo stuff as a culture. It's okay.
Yeah.
And when it comes to rape specifically, you don't have to have been assaulted to have this fantasy. A lot of people who have this fantasy were not assaulted.
Okay.
If you were assaulted, a common reason why you may have this fantasy is because when you are fantasizing, you are in control. So someone who was a victim can step back into a memory where they now have complete control, and it helps you begin to rewrite and reimagine what happened to you in a way where you can feel empowered.
Right.
Now, if that sounds like you, I also recommend, again, like trying to seek out a therapist, especially someone who is trauma informed. Well, if someone is a therapist, but they don't have the word sex therapist, they, just like your gynecologist or doctor, probably don't have sex ed training. So if you can find a sex therapist, that's great. But trauma is so, like, that's why people go to therapy. So I'd say most therapists are well versed at least in sexual trauma and healing that. So I would recommend going to see an expert and working through that with them. But the biggest takeaway I'd have is don't make yourself feel shameful, and recognize that this is a way that your brain and body is healing, and that's okay. And then for other people who are like, well, I have this fantasy and that
It's never happened.
It's never happened to me. Like, am I horrible and am I wishing something horrible to happen to myself? No. Again, like, think of all of the images that we, like, Beauty and the Beast is about a girl who gets kidnapped by a beast and falls in love with him. Okay? Like, it's a
fantasy.
Yeah. And we've been force fed these fantasies, so you're not crazy or weird. Another reason why rape fantasies are so common, or just forced sex fantasies in general, is because it takes away the ability for us to be bad. And what I mean by that is, if you grew up in a strict background, whether it was religious or it was just strict, period.
Yeah. Strict and religious.
Yep. And so, like, even the very idea of being attracted to someone and having sex is taboo. When it's a rape fantasy, you get to step out of, like, being blamed for your desires. You're like, but it's forced upon me. And then all of a sudden your subconscious is giving you an outlet to start fantasizing. And so it's funny because you could have a rape fantasy and think you're horribly taboo, but the rape fantasy is not, like, very violent or not. It's just literally that you were saying, no, no, no. So you can, in some subconscious way, be like, I'm not a bad person for having these desires that I don't understand.
Right.
But again, you can't undo desire, right? And so this is why, like, psychologists have come in and started to say, like, hey, like, it's cathartic to fantasize. If your fantasies are taboo, it can be even more cathartic to fantasize. Like, don't make yourself bad. Try to learn from it. And that's what's also really interesting, is people really learn a lot about themselves when they start to fantasize and
I agree.
let go of that shame and just be like, okay, I accept that I have this weird fantasy. I don't know what that's about.
Right.
But
Like, I think it's like you get, like, a little bit of, like, this weird, not weird, but, like, this confidence in yourself, like this acceptance, I think is, like, really powerful. So I think accepting that is what I think that's, like, super dope. So I have a fantasy of, like, just talk about all the
love
fantasies.
it.
I have a fantasy, and it hasn't happened yet, where I, like, want to see my partner, like, have sex with another woman.
Oh, I love.
And, like, I used to never be like that with any other guy. Like, granted, this relationship is, like, a healthy one, but my ex's, like, was not the healthiest, but I couldn't have never in a million years have ever accepted it back then. But now that I'm in a healthy relationship and I feel comfortable, it's like I just fantasize. I talk about it all the time. They definitely know. Like, I fantasize about it, and I'm like, I thought it was just a new thing that I didn't think that I would be really into, and I definitely want to one day, like, test it out. Yeah. So, like, what's the science of that? Or, you know, like, it's like, why is it before I wasn't okay? I mean, we know it's because I was, like, now in a healthy relationship, but I don't know how that just develops. I guess for me, I'm just like,
feeling secure maybe unlocked, like, the ability to step into that fantasy. There's a bunch, like, there's, like, 7 of the most common fantasies that we know of, and, like, having threesomes or watching your partner have sex with someone else is one of the top ones.
Okay.
So I also think you're just a human.
Okay.
But feeling secure in your relationship has, like, allowed for this idea to unfold. But what's also interesting about fantasies, and this is, like, the interesting piece, because obviously, like, we've talked about fantasies that can be pretty taboo. Just because you fantasize about something also doesn't mean that you need to do it in real life. Like, sometimes you may think, oh, this is so hot. I want to watch my boyfriend have sex with someone else. And then it happens in real life and it's not fun.
Yeah, right. That's what
and it doesn't feel good. And that's the the other piece about fantasies. And that's why you're, doing it in your mind is one thing, doing it in real life is another. Not to say that you shouldn't, because that sounds hot and fun.
Right,
and I'm here for it. But
Stay tuned.
but like, that's also the piece about feeling secure. Like if you had done it in another relationship, you probably would have felt like, oh, I'm not secure. Like whatever insecurities are on the table, these are going to be triggered. But with this person, it could be hot and fun and like carefree and free spirited.
Yeah.
And so it can be hot and it can be a good situation. But even if you do it and you don't like it, that's also normal, right?
Okay,
like
that's good to know. Because what if I did like do it and I'm like, actually, why am I triggered?
Yeah, some things are hotter in your brain than they are in real life. And
that's
like,
true.
you don't need to, like, you can explore every fantasy in your brain, but you don't need to like make it manifest in real life to feel that same satisfaction.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So I mentioned something about fantasy, like having, I think it was Danica mentioned, she's a sex therapist. She mentioned on one of the clips before, like, oh, like, you have to fantasize to get to, to orgasm. I can't remember what she said. But people in the comments are like, fantasizing, that means you're not into your partner.
Oh, that's another big myth about that. No, I'm so glad you brought that one up, because I hear that one all the time and then I always forget about it because I'm like, it's a myth.
Right.
But no, I mean, fantasizing about another person isn't cheating on your partner. Cheating on your partner is cheating on your partner.
Right.
And like you're your own self-partner, like you're self-partnered at all times. So it's okay if you like have a fantasy about someone or a celebrity or like, I don't know, the hot grocer who's bagging your bags, who has those arms. Like, it can be really cathartic to fantasize about that and give that an outlet instead of repressing it, because then repressed desires will come out in all different types of ways. Maybe resentment for your partner because your partner doesn't work out their arms and you like wish that they did, and then the hot grocery guy like has the arms.
Right.
But like in real life, like you wouldn't even be able to hold a conversation and it wouldn't be fun, like, so it's because
there's so many people who are like, I don't like having my partner like watch porn and all that stuff, and I just feel like I don't understand why it's an issue. I guess maybe it's just like people have different morals of what cheating is, and even just like thinking
and trauma. People have so much trauma around being cheated on. Like, I imagine if you have dated people who like didn't treat you right, why on earth would it feel comfortable to have your partner watch porn? Like, that makes complete sense. Or like go to a strip club. Like, one of my friends hates it when her husband goes to a strip club. And I'm like, girl, like those strippers could give a fuck.
They don't give a fuck about your man.
No, they're at work. Exactly. Like, it's chill.
Exactly.
Yeah, but it completely makes sense. We have so much trauma. And then like, especially like, with relationships, we're taught like, and I think we're taught this across all genders. Like, people like to put this on women, but I don't think it's just women. Like, we are so competitive about getting a good partner and like what that means, right? And so like on top of it, it's like, don't take what's mine. Don't go looking elsewhere. Like, we're so protective over these things. And I mean, if someone's going to cheat, they're going to cheat regardless of if they watch porn or not. And it's tough. I'm someone like, I'm definitely one of the sexperts who doesn't think it's good to like give those restrictions because you can't undo desire.
Right. It's something you can't really help.
No.
You can't really help what you like.
No.
You really can't.
You can't.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree. So what are like some other common like fantasies that you know of that maybe are like taboo that,
I mean, I'd say the rape one is probably the most taboo because people are like, it's horrible. And it is a horrible thing when it happens in real life.
Of course,
like it's different in your fantasy, and like, let that wash over you, that it's different in your fantasy than the horrible thing that someone does in real life. But other really common fantasies that are a little more lighthearted are like threesomes, group sex, BDSM, just like exploring like bondage or dominance and submission.
Yeah.
That's a really hot one. What else is really queer fantasies? So fantasizing about like being with a different gender, same gender, what have you.
Like I'm never like hooked up with a woman, and I want to one day. Like I'm just like waiting for the right time, but I'm scared.
I mean, it's like being a virgin again.
Yeah, like I feel like a virgin. I feel like, how do I flirt? Like how would I, like
Oh,
what
yeah.
or like
And
what do I even like?
It's like the energies. It's just, I mean, dating different people is always different in general. So dating across, like, it can be a completely different energy and intention. But yeah, and other really common fantasies are also like playing with your gender, which is another really fun one.
Playing with what does that entail?
Like maybe being a different gender, imagining like if you're a cisgendered woman in the fantasy, you're a guy and like someone's going down on you.
Okay.
Or things like this. Like it's another really common one that humans have. And I think with the transgender movement, people can be so like triggered sometimes by the transgender movement and like they don't even acknowledge like, well, maybe a reason why you're activated by like this community is because you have these fantasies that you're repressing. And like it doesn't, again, you don't have to act on anything. It doesn't mean
it doesn't
that
mean you're trans. Or it doesn't mean or like it's not because it's a fantasy.
Yeah. And
crazy.
it's like, but it's funny because we have so many things that we like, all the people who have fantasies about like I know a lot of men who identify as straight who've given another guy a blowjob. It's like, I swear to God, if I'm at a bar and I meet a straight guy and I tell him what I do, he's like, I gave a blowjob once, am I weird? Like, and I'm like, no, boo, you're fine.
Right.
And so, but it's like, we have all of these fantasies, whether you like fantasize about being a different gender or not having a gender at all or whatever, or fantasize
or
about
doing something
whatever.
that's not common with a straight, like
whatever.
a
Yeah,
straight
it's not in the
male.
dominant culture,
Right.
and you feel you're not weird. Like,
Right.
get over yourself.
Yeah.
You're also not even special. You're just a human with your fantasies. We all have them.
No, I love it because I feel like as of lately, since talking to you and like the twins and everyone else lately who's been on the show, just really just like normalizing just how common sex. We all know sex is common, but really just like talking about it in a way that like really helps educate people and that we don't feel weird. It's not something to be ashamed of because I grew up in like a Catholic strict household. So it was really just like, don't even think about sex. You know what I mean? Like I asked my mom, I was like, how did I get here? Like how were like babies born? And she was like, we prayed. You know what I mean? Like that was the type of time I was on for a while. So I don't know, I guess like what advice do you have for someone who is still kind of like in the middle of that shame and obviously is human and is horny and it wants to explore but like don't know how, like what is something that you could kind of give to them to make them feel like
better.
It's okay. Feel better.
Whenever I talk to people who that's their background, they always have this idea in their head that the grass is greener on the other side. Like I grew up with this strict background, and if I didn't have this strictness, I wouldn't have this shame. And everybody has shame. So I'd say the first thing to tell someone is that like the grass wasn't greener on the other side. And if someone was allowed to be more promiscuous or their parents were a little bit more liberal, our sex negative culture still bit them in the ass somehow.
Yeah.
So, it's okay that that's your baggage. No other baggage would have felt less heavy. Yeah. And then once, accepting that, like thinking of what do you need to feel cherished? What do you need to enjoy sex? And then begin to answer those questions for yourself because the shame that you had is a common shame that a lot of people have. And then your needs and your preferences are going to be specific.
Right.
And just starting to ask those questions and get into that journey and just figure out how to nourish yourself, right? One thing, like we're all self-partnered, whether we're in a relationship or not. And then as we become adults, we also learn how to self-parent, right?
That's so true, yeah.
It's a way that you, handling your shame and your shit around sex is a way that you're just going to start self-parenting.
Yeah.
So that's what I would say to start that
I love
journey.
that. That's so true because it is like the self-parenting thing that does happen and you kind of have to like heal that part. And I think everything else kind of blossoms, like not even just sex, everything else. So going back to the kinks and fetishes and stuff. So like what's like something that's like, because I just, the twins are very kinky and I love it. They like just open my mind up to a lot. But I guess would say like I'm a freak. I'm a very sexual person, but I'm still like vanilla. Like I still feel like there's so much to explore. So like what are some like kinks and fetishes that are super common that are also like taboo that people don't really like to like talk about?
I mean, I think a lot of people don't like to admit that they're a submissive, especially if they're a man. That's like, and a lot of men are like, they like powerful women.
Right.
And then I'd say that like there's a lot of women who are also very dominant and like want to step into that role
Right.
and maybe feel like they can't or that it isn't sexy, or just like wanting to play with BDSM in a way where you can switch between all the roles. But there's so many. I mean, kink is so diverse that like another really fun one is pet play, like people dressing up as like a kitten and they have an owner, or a dog and they have an owner, or they could be a fox, so they're wild, they don't have an owner but they're still a pet.
Oh my
I mean,
God.
there's
A
so many.
fox?
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
like that.
It's really fun. Yeah. But there's so many ways to be kinky and like play out fantasies. And, you know, one reason why BDSM, especially for people who have ADHD, can be really satisfying is because it gives you it gives you structure while you're accessing your erotic side. So your brain is less likely to like, because your brain has something to think about. I'm a fox. I have
That's
to
true.
be like
Like
a
you
fox.
have to like, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Okay, so because I love to be like degraded and to be like hit, but I don't think I've ever really tried like BDSM. Like I don't even know where to like begin.
Oh, I mean, a good spanking.
Okay.
Is-
So that's
is fun.
considered BDSM? Like
Oh my God,
spanking?
yeah.
Okay. I don't know why. I just
Absolutely.
thought like if you're doing BDSM, like it has to be like you have to be like in character. You have to be like dressed up.
I mean, you can, but you don't
Yeah.
have to.
Okay.
Like a really easy way to start playing with BDSM is to start like having fun, like sexting conversations.
Okay.
So like, I mean, would you want to be the submissive or the dominant?
I thought I was more dominant, but I think I'm a bratty sub.
Oh my God, I love being a brat.
Yeah, I love being a
it's
brat.
so
It's
much
just fun. I like being
Yeah.
spicy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, you know, you can, whatever is like a fun way for you to be punished. Cause I feel like when I'm a brat, like I want to misbehave so that way you can punish me. Right. And
yeah.
so like in text, like telling your partner ahead of time, like, this is how I like to be punished or whatever. And then your partner
Okay.
may like text you and say like, today you're only allowed to wear all black. And then when you hang out, your partner sees that you wore a red necklace.
I was gonna say because one time I like went on a date with a self-proclaimed daddy dom, and he was like, "Oh yeah, wear a skirt for me," and I didn't because I didn't like being told what to do.
love
So I was
it.
being kind of bratty.
Yeah.
but he still spanked me. It's fine.
Well, and see, that's the point, is that
Yeah.
like, because you misbehaved, you get the spanking.
Yeah.
But like, you got what you wanted. That one of the
Okay.
biggest myths about BDSM is that the dominant person is in control, and they're not. The submissive person and the dominant person should connect and see if they have similar fantasies, so that way they can step into the roles that they want. Because like, there are some dominants who don't want to be with a brat because what turns them on is someone being like really, I don't know, like what's the word for it? Like service oriented, like wear this, clean this, da da da, and then the submissive gets off on that. Whereas
Right.
other people are like, oh, I want a bratty submissive. I want like
A challenge.
exactly, or not
Right.
even like challenge. I don't even know is the right word because I think that can like make consent ideas tricky.
Right, okay.
But like, they enjoy like it's endearing to see someone kind of rebel against them, you know?
okay,
And so it's
okay.
like you want to figure out how to step into your roles. And so being with someone who's like going to tell you to do something, you're going to misbehave in some way
Right.
because that's,
Always.
you're being yourself. You're being your cute self.
Exactly.
And then they're going to find that endearing, but also punish you because like,
Yeah.
that's also fun for like, that's why some people are dominant or sadistic, because like punishing someone is fun. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to mean it's extremely painful. Like punishing could literally be like, you don't get your cell phone for the next 12 hours. And then you like being a brat and be
Yeah.
like, no, like,
Right.
I find a lot of BDSM play is also us like stepping into our like childhood selves
Oh,
and working
100%.
out
Because
some
there's
shit.
always like daddy, little
Yep.
girl,
Oh,
like
yeah.
all that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, that just, I don't know why. I just always, when I thought of BDSM, I always just thought it was like this production where someone has to be in latex. there's sex toys
that's
involved.
the way the media has like totally portrayed
Right,
it.
but then,
which
like-
it can be that way.
Exactly. But
But-
then I'm like, wait, so I've been doing BDSM?
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not
I feel like
vanilla?
a lot of us have, and like we
Right.
didn't even know. We're just
We're just
I don't know.
doing
We're just
it.
attracted to our weird taboo desires.
Exactly. Like
and
I always
that's
said, I
it.
was like, choking's very common. So
Oh,
is
yeah.
that pretty much vanilla at this point?
I mean, I don't think so because you
Okay.
could
or slapping. I don't
Slap.
know.
Well, I mean, no, none of that
Okay.
is really that vanilla.
I'm not vanilla
to be
anymore.
honest. No, but also with choking, like PSA, like you can really hurt people. So Google safe ways. Like there's the Pleasure Chest has classes on kink. Like look up credible places that have classes on how to do certain things. Because choking, you can like asphyxiate someone and like not bring oxygen to their brain, and so it's like more dangerous than we think, but it's also very hot, like you know, don't get me wrong, but yeah, so that's definitely not vanilla. Like
okay, let me just list everything I like.
I love
okay
it.
So I loved being spanked, like especially when I'm like riding. Yeah, like actually just any time I just liked being spanked. He slapped me before and I was really into that. I'm trying to think what else. I mean, I've told the whole like seeing somebody. I mean, that's like a fantasy. Okay, so this is my fantasy this is kind of like my everyday fantasy. Like the cucking is like, you know, sometimes I'm feeling like extra freaky, but then like the kind of everyday like sex day to day is like I always envision myself being like a dirty slutty whore that you picked up from like a bar.
Oh my God, I love it.
Like I just think in my head, I'm like the slut he chose at the club.
So many people have, like that's totally.
Yeah, like I don't know why, but I'm just like, I don't know, it makes me feel good. And I just, and he likes the dominant and like really trying to, you know, like it fits well. We have good sex.
I mean, that's important.
And it's
like
not vanilla.
No, not at all.
Yeah,
and like stepping into those fantasies like makes it so fun.
Yeah.
Sex is just like play dates.
Exactly. Oh my God. It's an adult play date.
It is. Oh, it absolutely is. Yeah.
It literally is. Wait, I just remember what we were supposed to talk about. Remember we spoke on the phone. And we're like,
what?
It was I took a test.
Oh yeah.
Of all let me just grab it real quick and we could.
You took the BDSM test, right?
Yeah, it was like the key, like all that.
Amazing.
So this is the what is it? Is it the BDSM test?
I think so. There's like a test you could take online and you fill out like all of your kinks and then they tell you like what percentage you are of all the different things, right?
Like you take it, they ask you questions, you pick if you like it or not, and then it just kind of like gives you a rating.
And then you realize I'm not vanilla and I never was.
Exactly. Okay, so 100% it says degradey. Like I love to be degraded, which we know that. Like I want to be a dirty slut from the club. The next one says non-monogamist.
Oh,
so is that's the cucking, right? It's the one seeing a different. Okay, or like an open relation, or okay,
any type of open relationship. Yeah.
Okay, and then next 80. So that was 89%, and I'm 84% experimentalist.
Nice. So just open-minded. You want to try the new things. Yeah.
All right, cool. And then 70% switch.
Oh yeah, so you can switch between a dominant or submissive role.
I feel like I could. I feel like I could, but I don't know too much about my dominant side yet. Like the only thing I can feel is like dominant is me just like holding him down and just like taking charge.
Oh, I love it. Maybe sitting on his face and he can't breathe and
He's
him.
like something like that, but never like again me in latex whipping him or something like that.
Dominance is just about your intention. Same with submission, right? So we like talked about how like if you want to be a submissive, it's important to see like, am I more service oriented? Do I want to be a brat? Do I want to be a pet? What do I want to be?
Yeah.
But like
the
if
pet
you're
one is so interesting.
Oh, the pet one is so much fun.
Have you done it?
Oh my God, absolutely. I put me in a cage. Like
Oh
I
my
have
God.
a lot of different kitten ears. Like I'm here for this life.
So
like,
so you're always the cat.
yeah, I like being a kitten.
Oh,
yeah,
I can see you being a kitten.
Yeah,
I love
absolutely.
cats. Do you have cats?
Oh yeah, I grew up with cats. I love cats. I foster cats.
Oh my God,
like, it's
stop.
out of control.
I love
But
that. That is my dream, though. Like
also like stepping. Oh, go on. What was your dream?
I was just saying that I want like 10 cats, but my boyfriend
Oh
would
my
never
God.
let me. But
You don't, trust me. 3 is the max.
Yeah.
But what was I? If you again, so stepping into your dominant energy, it's like that same thing. It's the intention. Like,
Right.
what do you want to be? Like, it could literally be like when I'm in my dominant sexual energy, I like to send voice notes. Like, what are you doing right now?
Ooh.
And I'm not wearing latex. I'm not
Right.
like da 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 da.
Yeah.
Or don't wear underwear. That's a fun one that I like to do.
Are you a switch or are you more dominant?
I'm a switch, but I'm way more submissive because I'm so dominant in my everyday life. Like I'm researching, I'm an advocate for sex positivity. So I step into my dominant side to like tell these hoes to calm down and like, you know, all types of stuff. So in my like personal life, I really like to be a submissive, like, and just be more submissive, period.
I think that's like me because I feel like I'm always having to just be like dominant in my life.
Yeah.
And having to, you know, run my business, all these things. So then like, yeah, then being in the bedroom is like, I definitely just want him to just like take over and like tell me what to do.
Absolutely.
You know, so, okay. So next one. So 69% rope bunny.
Ooh.
Which I've never done that. But what exactly is a rope bunny?
Someone who likes to be restrained with rope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to try that.
Yeah. And again, there are classes you can take with credible people.
Like what's
always
some
have
advice
scissors nearby.
Scissors?
Oh yeah. If you're gonna play with rope, so first off, if you're gonna play with rope,
get some advice so I know
what
to do.
Yeah. By the way, I trained to be a dominatrix for 2 years, so I don't even know if we talked about that.
We'll talk maybe the next pod. The next pod
one,
we'll get into it. Yeah.
I'd say from that training, the best advice I can give, if you're going to use bondage of some kind, have scissors nearby. If you're going to use rope, try and find rope that's like actually used for bondage because it won't be like tearing up your skin or coarse on your skin. And then make sure, again, you have scissors nearby. So if you're using rope, as opposed to like bondage tape, which you can buy bondage tape at a sex store, or you can have handcuffs or, you know, other restraints. But if you're going to have rope, make sure you have scissors that'll cut through the rope. Because the thing about just restricting anything, whether you're choking someone or restricting them with rope or handcuffs or whatever, is just to make sure blood circulation does not get blocked, because you're a human being. You can pass out, you can create serious damage.
Right.
So I would say with rope play, take a class. Justine Cross, Mistress Justine Cross, actually hosts a bunch of classes. I think I'd recommend her the most.
Okay.
She's based in Los Angeles, but her classes are all virtual. So if you go to LADungeonEast.com, or look her up on Instagram at Mistress Justine Cross. She has classes on rope play.
Oh, nice.
And
I need to take that class.
Oh, absolutely. So you can learn all types of ways to tie people up and to play with rope, and then have scissors nearby. You can't say that enough.
You like scissors.
For real though.
Yeah.
And then when you're done with rope play, this is a really important step. Massage all the places that were bound, because again, you want to get that blood flowing again. You want to get everything circulated. Make sure you have water nearby while you're playing with rope. Make sure to check in with your partner regularly to make sure that like they're feeling okay. Nothing is tingly.
Have safe words, maybe.
Safe words for sure. The best safe word system I find is the stoplight system. So it's red means stop everything, take the rope off. I'm done. Yellow means check in with me. I'm not saying that I'm done, but like maybe this hurts or I need water or whatever the fuck. And then green is go. Like, I'm good, baby. Keep going.
Like, this is it. Don't stop.
Yep, exactly.
I love that. Okay, because I've never been tied up. I've never, not even handcuffs, nothing. But it, you know,
there's really nice silk handcuffs at the Pleasure Chest. You can order like thepleasurechest.com. But there's like nice, good quality handcuffs that don't look like the type that the cops have. Because I also think for some people, like cop style handcuffs can be really triggering. Like it's especially if like a person of color, like it could be really triggering and people just like don't like it. But it's still fun to be restrained. So finding like silk handcuff style things that like feel nice on your skin, but still like, or ones that like hook to the bed, like so you're hooked to the bed.
Like,
and
that
you can't
sounds
move.
hot.
That's super fun.
Like what should, I don't know. It's like, what moves do you do when someone's tied up? Like, I don't even know. Like, I've never, like, I feel like a virgin in that aspect.
I think that's part of the like the helplessness of it is quite sexy.
Yeah. And I think also the thought of just like having like blindfolds as well too.
Oh yeah, blindfolds can be a huge libido booster. So like if you don't need to have handcuffs or rope or whatever, like a blindfold is such a good entryway into trying something new, because it heightens all your other senses.
I was
and
gonna
it
say,
can
yeah.
really like also help us get out of our own head and relax with our partner and not like micromanage maybe or just be anxious. But also again, sometimes you can think a blindfold's gonna be hot, you use it and you're like, this makes me more anxious. I need to see, I don't like
Right.
this. So, you know,
Just
try
play with
everything,
it.
play with it. Yeah.
I just feel like it sounds hot because, having ADHD and it just, it would like block at least one distraction.
Yeah, exactly.
And just have to focus on like
I
the
love
feeling.
it personally.
Yeah.
It really, yeah.
Okay, we're gonna have to
Yeah.
try that. So, and the next one is 63% masochist. So that's like,
Enjoying the like feeling pain.
okay.
while
I
feeling
was like, is that the
pleasure.
same thing as like degrady? But that's
It can be. They often, like one is often used to facilitate the other, but it doesn't have to be because I'm someone who enjoys degradation, but I don't like physical pain. It doesn't boost anything for me. Like it doesn't really take anything away necessarily, but it doesn't help, you know?
I just feel like it gives me like pressure.
yeah.
Especially when I'm
yeah.
like so close to coming. Like I need like I don't know what it is. I just need a sense of
Yeah.
just like pressure. Like I need him to fucking spank the shit out of me.
I love
like just squeeze
it.
the shit out of my
Yeah.
tits as if it's gonna squirt out milk.
Yeah.
Like I need like just intense pressure.
Yeah.
It helps me come.
Well, you know, like again, going back to the neuroscience of pleasure, one of the things we recently discovered is that your pleasure pathway and your pain pathway in your brain share pathways. So this is why pleasure and pain feel good when they're mixed together. This is why it's really important that we experience genuine pleasure on a regular basis, because if you learn how to numb pleasure, then you're also teaching yourself how to numb pain. So you're basically teaching yourself not how to process your emotions. It's really important. Like it's all connected.
Yeah.
So if you like are numbing your pain, like maybe you're again just repressing things,
Right.
Not feeling sadness, not feeling grief, then you're gonna dull your ability to experience pleasure. And then if you're kinky and you like being hit or whatever, you're not crazy or weird. Like those pathways are shared in the brain.
Yeah, I mean, I think,
Yeah.
at times, like, again, like I said, like, I could be super, like, sexual, and then I have other times where I just feel like just no sense of hormones or, like, sexual,
Yeah.
like, desire because, and I think a lot of the time it's just because of stress.
Yeah.
I have, like, a million things on my mind, so I feel like that makes sense. That kind of
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Stress is like a huge, like it's going to be a block for sex,
Yeah.
which is also fine. Because again, these mixed messages we get about like sexual empowerment, being sexually empowered doesn't mean you're always turned on.
Yeah,
Like that would be, that's unrealistic. Like that's just,
Thank you.
I mean, you're not always turned on. Being sexually empowered means that you know what you like, you are gentle on yourself and your journey, and that you know how to advocate for yourself and say no. Those to me are way bigger markers of sexual empowerment as opposed to I get wet easily.
I know, because I don't get like wet easily, and sometimes I'd
No,
feel
yeah.
like I used to get wet easily, and then
Yeah.
it just stopped.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's also
need to-
normal with aging.
Okay,
And
I
like
was gonna
using
say 'cause
lube.
I'm
Yeah.
31 now,
Yeah.
so I feel like I'm not as wet as when I was 21.
Which is, again, it's fine.
Okay.
I mean, you also have a lot more responsibilities. Like when we're 21, we probably like usually have a little bit more like free time to have more sex
100%,
than when,
yeah.
and
Yeah.
yeah.
And you could like get drunk as fuck, and then the next
Yeah.
day go back to work, even though
Yeah.
you sleep for like an hour.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, there's no way I'm doing that
no,
anymore.
I cannot do that now. Like hell no. Okay, so the next one. So masochist, 57% brat, which
Yeah.
we know, and then 57% vanilla, which
Which is so funny that they would say that.
Right.
I mean, well, first off, if you're listening to this and you think you are vanilla, there's also nothing wrong with being vanilla.
there's nothing wrong with being
Like,
vanilla. I used to think it was
yeah.
like, wait, am I boring
Again,
in
yeah,
bed?
the stupid messages we're getting about sexual empowerment. Like, enjoy what you enjoy. Like, you don't have to be, I don't know, you don't have to be like a sex super person. And also, if you're vanilla, you are a sex super person. If you're having the sex you want, you're a sex superhero.
If you're feeling good, that's all that
Yeah,
matters.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But in terms of vanilla, I don't even know what they mean by vanilla anymore. Like,
That's what I say. I was like, what is vanilla? Because I thought like me just wanting to dirty talk and getting spanked was vanilla, but
yeah. And that's for some people, that's like, whoa.
yeah. So like,
Yeah.
what's the most vanilla thing ever. Like it's just penetrating, no dirty
Missionary,
talk.
penetrative sex. Yeah. But then again, if that's what you like, then like
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm
you're
just like,
having a revolution by enjoying sex.
there you go.
But I guess that could be
Be
vanilla.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so next one is primal. So meaning I like
animalistic, raw, primitive.
so 50% primal. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you enjoy like it could mean something having to do with like pet or animal play or like something like that, but it could also just mean like maybe being a little bit uninhibited. Like if you think of something primal, it's
Right.
you know, it's like raw and natural.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Because I'm like trying to think of all my sex.
I wish they had like definitions.
Right? Like that's why you're
That's
here.
very vast.
That's
like,
very-
I like to be primal. I'm like, okay.
But like what does that mean? Right. That's very like
Yeah.
vague. And then 57% submissive. And then 50% dominant. And then I don't know what this is, but 39% sadist.
Oh, sadist.
Sadist.
Oh, a sadist is someone who
Can't read.
I want to be sad. No.
Yeah, I
A
was like,
sadist.
do I need to be sad?
No, which you can be. That's
Yeah.
also a kink, like crying.
That is a kink. I
Yeah.
did hear about that.
But a sadist is someone who enjoys inflicting pain on another person, which again is like very diverse. Like that could
Right.
literally mean you like spanking people, but you don't like hitting them in the face. Or
Right.
you specifically like hitting people in the face, but you wouldn't, like it's so diverse.
It's so diverse.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, I tried to choke my boyfriend once and he was like not into it and I wasn't really into it. We're like, that was not the thing. And we didn't do that again. That's so funny. Status. So 38% rigor.
Oh, that's someone who is doing the rope.
Oh, okay. Rigor, RIGGR, not and just in case that like I didn't say that.
Or it could also be someone, so not only someone who's doing the rope, but like literally rigging you to be elevated and like above ground. So like it's another like kink is being up in the air, like being restrained but up in the air in an apparatus. So that's what someone who is rigging, that's what they would do.
Oh.
Yeah.
I could tap into that.
It's fun.
Yeah. So next one is 36% voyeur, which
Voyeur.
means,
Oh yeah, you like looking at other people having sex. I'm
Yeah.
like a 90% voyeur. I
Really?
mean, that's why I will go to sex parties just to watch. Like
I
that.
want to go to a
love
sex
it.
party so bad, and I just
I'll
haven't
take you
gone.
to some.
Okay,
Oh my god, I know.
I need to go.
I know about like too many of them. It's out of control.
Please tell me. Like I told the twins, I was like, I need to go.
Oh yeah, for
and
sure.
so I'm just voicing it again.
For sure.
But let
we'll
me
make
know.
it happen.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I could like participate, but I would
I don't
love to
participate.
watch.
And then another thing I like to do when I go to sex parties is tell people they can't have sex with me.
Really?
Yeah. It's super fun.
Like they just approach you and they're just like
they'll be like, "Oh, do you want to?" I'll be like, "No." Like kind of like not mean, but I'm like,
Yeah,
coy.
yeah,
I'm
you're
like,
like,
no.
no.
Almost
Yeah.
like for like one of my kinks is like being a princess or like things like that. Like also
Ooh.
kind of being a brat, but being
Yeah.
like an extra thing on top. Like she has a tiara,
Right. Just
And
a little
so,
bit more
yeah.
like high maintenance about it.
Yep,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a big bitch.
Right.
And so
so
like I
funny.
love it if someone like comes up to me and they're like, "Oh, blah blah blah. Do you want to come up to the sex room?" No,
But what if they're really hot?
no.
No.
Well, I also am seeing someone and I
Okay,
like
just
wouldn't
out of
want-
respect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just respect and like I just am obsessed with her, so like wouldn't really want that, but
Right.
not at this time in my journey. But like,
Right.
yeah, I like saying no.
I mean, I like saying no, but I like being like, no.
Because you have the slutty fetish.
Yes. But I also like want them to like chase me. So I want them to keep
Oh my
like,
God, yeah.
asking me until I'm like, no, fuck no, get the fuck away from me. But if there's a flirty sense of, but I don't think I would have sex with anyone there just because like, I'm just not comfortable with that. I'm not into like I'm also not into PDA.
Yeah.
Like I don't even like to like, and I've said this on the show before, I've always been like this with every relationship. Like I don't ever really even like to like, be kissing my boyfriend in front of people, like let alone having sex. Like it's, but that's just me.
Yeah.
I'll watch people.
Amen.
I would love to go to a sex party, watch people. But yeah.
Yeah, we'd be good sex party friends because
Yes!
we'll just be booping around watching everybody.
Oh my God. I want to go because I feel like there's still so much I like want to see and explore. And like I could talk about it, I could hear about it, but I feel like I want to see it and really just get,
And it's funny because my experience going to them, like the first time I went, I was like, this is going to be groundbreaking. And I'm like, this is just a party. And in like one of the rooms, people are having sex. Like it's like not as, like it's still like, it can be like a big step, but it's not as crazy as you think. Like
how I envision it is just like a social event.
Yeah.
And we're all just like, just chilling and then people are having sex. But I don't really think it's like, I don't see it as like a big production.
No.
I just see it as like a house party with people
Yeah,
like having
literally.
sex
And then in like some rooms are sex rooms and then there's
Yeah.
like the main hangout room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I want to go and I want to watch so I can learn something.
Yeah. We'll go.
Okay, we'll go. Well, I thank you for coming on the pod.
Yeah,
and
thank you for having me.
And
This was
educating.
fun.
This was so much fun. We'll do this again next time I'm in
Yeah.
town. I feel like I always have so many questions, and like I think it's important to continuously learn about sex and to normalize it. And I'm so grateful that Danny introduced us.
I
and, like,
know I know that Danny's been on your podcast before and he's going to be again. Everybody listen to the astrology episode. He's wonderful.
They did. They loved it. They were like, I've been getting so many messages like, bring Danny back. We love him.
He's so good. He's magic.
He's literally magic.
Yeah.
I love him. And I love that we have our little like pod collab crew.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's so fun.
No, it's so good.
I've always dreamed of this. But yeah, this is where we plug ourselves.
Yeah.
Let them know where they can find you, where they can follow you, and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Well, it's really easy. You can follow me at Pleasure Science on Instagram, TikTok, everywhere. I post tons of sexy, fun, new facts all the time. And then I also do sextrology readings for people. Oh, yeah. Because I love astrology. I've been studying it since I was 15. I'm such a nerd. Like, if you're a nerd, you're going to love me. But I loved looking at astrology books and reading about it. And I've been doing that since I was like 15. And so one of the ways that I love to work with people is to do their birth chart and I'm like, okay, these are your strengths. And this is maybe why you have these blocks and let's like look at what's going on. And so that's, you can find me and book one of those sessions if you like.
Amazing.
And
and then you guys follow me, Stefanie Maegan, or go to brokewiththerapy.com. And if you want to like ask Nadège, I can't speak right now. I did like 10 episodes in a row, so don't mind me. If you guys want to ask questions on the pod and you want her to answer because she's a professional, you don't want me to answer because I need to be educated, go ahead and send it over at contact@brokewiththerapy.com or on my website. And then, love you guys.
Bye.
Broke Girl Therapy.